with your host, Lyndsay Soprano.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, kill it, Lyndsay. Oh, yeah.
And this handsome fella over here.
Whoa there.
This is Mr. John Ramirez, baby.
Oh, yeah.
And this is your Almost There podcast.
Never naked.
Johnny boy.
What's going on?
My little handsome friend over there.
Oh,
How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Me too.
The gym was fantastic, I must tell you.
God.
I flirted with this guy who was also a fellow New York Jets fan. We were crying together over our friggin' football season, how horrible we are.
You guys are lame. My Packers fucking kicked some ass.
I'm telling you.
Oh my God. And this isn't a sports show for those of you who just started listening.
But we will throw out random facts of how sucky the Jets are and apparently how great the Packers are, because that's all we know about when it comes to football.
Seriously. So this is the end of season 1 of Almost Bear podcast, and I have a love, I'm crying but laughing at the same time because it's been such a good year with you, John.
It's been a really interesting year. Busy year for both of us doing this podcast thing. We're both, your personal business. Me trying to, I guess, do some other creative stuff as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. Getting married, obviously, in April. Just a lot of it was just a crazy year.
It's been a crazy year. Between heart surgeries and getting
heart
married,
surgeries.
moving.
You're going to go through another surgery coming up in less. Well, I was going to say in a few weeks, but actually it's less than a few weeks.
Yeah, it's next Friday. So
I'm going to let you talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. Oh my God. Okay, so this, for starters, is your Almost Bear podcast, where we talk about love, sex, health, and all of the dirty secrets in between. And this over here is Mr. John Ramirez, and I am always, all day, and it is fucking exhausting, Lyndsay Soprano. We're gonna wrap up our season 1 of Almost Bear podcast, and we're basically talking today about gratefulness and forgiveness as we get into the hoe-lidays seasons. Let's holiday. I don't know. Maybe that's just my accent. Is it? Perhaps it is. I'm starting off my holiday seasons with yanking my tits out. So,
you just dropped it.
Yeah. Yep. Drop it like it's hot, bitches.
Wow.
Yeah. I know. So, if this is the first time you've listened to the show, I apologize, because you're going to have to listen to episodes prior to really get the whole gist of it. But
they're listening to the season wrap up.
Yeah. And they're like, never mind, we're not listening to the show.
Is this a sports show? Is this a boob talk? What are we talking about here?
What is this?
It's all the above,
folks. Genre. It's all of it. We cover it all, bitches. No, so I as you guys know, I live in chronic pain with this stupid shit called CRPS. And I had breast implants a couple years ago, and from day one, they've been absolutely horrific. They look great, but
I would just want to make that comment. It's not the fact they don't look.
No, they look okay, but they hurt like hell. And from day one after the surgery, it literally increased my pain probably 50% from a CRPS perspective, which is nerve damage, right? It's the nutshell of it. So when you Google it in regards to problems with women and their implants, women are taking them out left and right because they're causing so many problems within our bodies. Our immune systems are shutting down. They're getting cancer. There's one story that I talked to a girlfriend of mine who, when she pulled her implants out, one of her implants had black fucking mold inside of it. And mine is, my left side's horrible, my right side's okay, but they're coming out. And then I also have these little tumors in my left boob as well that are coming out too. So I don't know what I'm going to look like come Friday at about noon next week, but I don't give a shit.
Is it outpatient?
Unless there's complications, yes, it's outpatient. Okay. Yeah, just like our heart surgeries. So in regards to matters of the heart and forgiveness and gratefulness, I am grateful for the opportunity to have done this podcast with you this year. And I'm looking forward to what's coming up in the future for the show. I'm also looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the future with my bod, because this has just been a freaking disgusting year of pain, and I am kind of tired of talking about it, and I feel like everybody's tired of listening to it too. So
I think that's the wrong understatement. I think we all sympathize with it, honestly.
We all. We've been Ed Sheeran our asses off over here today.
People. Fantastic song, folks. This podcast is brought to you by Ed Sheeran Incorporated, LLC.
That's right.
This is our fake advertisement of the day.
Sure is.
Ed Sheeran, thanks so much for joining us, just for contributing to this podcast. Much love.
Yes, we love you. We love you.
Irish people are amazing. He's Irish, right?
Yeah. Oh, my God. And also a ginger, one of my favorites, as you very well know. Oh, Molly.
In all seriousness, I don't think we're tired of it. I think we're more of, again, sympathizing. I know I've told you many times, I have felt bad, not like pity, and I know you know what I mean by that, but it's more of, I just feel bad because I feel helpless. I can't help you other than be like, hey, hi, I don't know what to do. Here's a hug. Does this hurt? You know what I mean?
Well, and like I've told you, some of the things that help is better communication. Yeah, and I'm going to shame the fuck out of you.
It's fine. It's all good. Folks, I this past week has been kind of crazy.
Yeah, for both of us together, within our friendship and our relationship. And I mean, I've been challenged from a physical perspective, obviously, because this news kind of came pretty quickly about what was happening to my bod. But, you know, the two of us have been on our journeys separately and together, and I'm more grateful for our friendship than I've ever been at this particular moment. And on a serious note, because I know that we're laughing and joking right now, but we've gone through a lot of topics on this show, some that are super personal for each of us, where we've come to the table and shared things and been extremely vulnerable, sometimes to the point that I've made John so uncomfortable he wants to like strip himself out of his skin. And sometimes he's made me uncomfortable in ways, you know, from a religious perspective or what have you. But we've been vulnerable for you guys, and we've been vulnerable for ourselves. But one of the hardest things that came from this show was that I opened my heart and literally became as vulnerable as I could possibly be when I decided to talk about what happened to me when I was raped when I was 13. And it was something that I have only told, you know, 2 people prior, and none of them were anybody that, outside of my college roommate, that really, you know, even knew, and she didn't even really know the full story. So I was just talking to John before the episode about this book called Daring Greatly, and he's read it as well as I. And
it's a fantastic book.
It's unbelievable. And if you've already read it, read it again, because I feel like I read a couple books over again in different points of my life, and I feel like when I pick them up, it's always the right time, because there's a message that I learn that I didn't get the first time around, and that I glossed over other things. And so I was reading Daring Greatly again over the past week. Brene Brown, she's actually a shame researcher, and shame is like, I could do an entire show on shame, quite frankly. But because of everything that's gone on with my bod, like I mentioned to you, Johnny Boy, I don't know, it was a couple episodes ago where I was talking about how my psychologist was telling me that my pain is like in my feet and in my legs because I've been unable to move forward in life. And so I'm reading this book the other night, and there's this line that's from Daring Greatly, and I'm sorry that I'm going to read from it, but I want to be specific to it. So it says, shame thrives on secret keeping, and when it comes to secrets, there's some serious science behind the 12-step program, which clearly I need to get into, saying you're only as sick as your secrets. So, in a pioneering study, psychologist and University of Texas professor James Pennebaker and his colleagues studied what happened when trauma survivors, specifically rape and incest survivors kept their experiences secret. The research team found that the act of not discussing a traumatic event or confiding in to another person can be more damaging than the actual event. Conversely, when people shared their stories and experiences, their physical health improved, their doctors' visits decreased, and they showed significant decreases in their stress hormones. So what I'd like to do today is thank you all for listening. And John, thank you for letting me be vulnerable to share some of the trauma that's happened in my life. And also, thank you for listening to all the crazy bullshit that I've done. And I'm not blaming it all on trauma. I mean, there's a certain element of it. And also, I just like to have a little bit of fun. But, you know, thank you, everybody, for that. And I have forgiven that person that this happened. I've forgiven a ton of people this year. And I also would like to ask for forgiveness to people that I have hurt in ways that I may not know or in ways that I do know.
You know, when you talk about gratitude, you confide, and you're talking about confiding, going on forgiveness, it's the same thing. It's funny that it's the same benefits that you have, that you are able to elevate your mood once you forgive. Yeah. Your optimism enhances supremely, and you're like always on guard against anger. Like, you know, it's like when you feel angry, it's like no, just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Stress, anxiety, depression seem to kind of fade away. And I came back from my third session with my therapist. Ooh, and I actually went to him and I said, you know, I've done pretty well this past month. I haven't gotten angry. I had one blow up, and it was over something I couldn't control, and that was time.
Yeah.
I didn't make, I was told to come, I'll just be very honest. My wife told me, hey, come pick me up at this time, and yet the office held her back 45 minutes.
God damn it, blow the world.
And we had to go somewhere literally 5 minutes after when I picked her up. And I blew up. And that's one thing I've been having this entire year that I found out was John Ramirez has an anger problem. You may not hear it at all on this mic.
I damn well know you do, mister.
But
Kari, we love you.
But I have an anger issue, and it took me a very long time to admit that. Yeah. And it was the very first therapist meeting that I've had that I said, I'm an angry person. And for a lot of people, they'd be like, well, you're going to therapy. It's all good. It's like, no, you don't understand. When one has issues and they admit to having an issue, sometimes it takes them a long time to admit what they are and who they are.
Sure, 100%.
And I had to look at my past as you looked at yours this past year, and I had to say, oh, that's why I'm angry. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's why I blow up. That's why I don't have patience. That's why I don't respond. That's why I withdraw. That's why this. That's why that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't even know it that I'm hurting others because of my anger.
Right.
And this third visit, I said, I think I'm doing well. And he said, okay, one blow up. Okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? And obviously, I'm not going to try to bore everybody with my life, what's going on. But he said, hey.
I'm kidding.
He said, hey, you need to work on this. You need to work on this. So I always think sometimes I'm at the finish line, or like, I think I'm good. I think we can do this. And it's
not
like,
after 3 visits, dude.
I know. But again, the naivete of me. And one thing after these 3 visits is I forgive my family. I forgive my family for the not specific, just one person in general in my immediate family, that I forgive.
I don't know what you're gonna do without me in your grammar world.
I'm telling you.
Shit.
Seriously, these next couple months, I tell you.
I know.
After the season, but in a serious sense, it is that I forgive this one person.
That's awesome.
And I thought I'd forgiven before, but you have to forgive every single day. Because especially when a certain person can come back in your life, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, yeah, you develop patterns over your entire life that where this is the only way you respond to this person. It's the only, everything that they do pisses you off or hurts you or what have you. And that's one of the things. Like, in fact, the other day I was washing my truck on the driveway, and I was like out there, and I was feeling, my feet were feeling good, my legs were feeling good, and I'm washing my truck, and out of the blue, out loud, I said, I forgive you to my husband, just out into the open. And I went, oh my God. And I had this like light feeling off of my shoulders. It doesn't mean that I've forgotten the things that he did. And I am not perfect in any way, shape, or form in our marriage. And that's part of my apology too, is I'm sorry that our marriage didn't